even if they're putting on some sort of an act and saying something, you have to have, well, you don't have to have, but it really helps to have, like if she said that she had relations with a 14-year-old, if you could get that 14-year-old...
That 14-year-old has unalived himself.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, okay, well...
No, that's okay.
I don't want to say, see, the lawyer in me, I don't even want to say that.
I know.
But that certainly shines...
I have a question. What happens if, when you entrap someone, and you have the proof, then what happens then? Do they just still throw it out and you get charged for it?
They'll still pull up the entrapment, unfortunately, not the good that you've done through it.
Honestly,
so will they actually charge that person though? Let's say you have physical proof, you've entrapped and you've got a decoy, and it could be someone younger, and it's a decoy. You're there with them.
No, you can't do that. You're putting that young person at risk. You need to, as an over 18, you need to be in control of that conversation. And you have to use photographs of somebody that is over 18 now, but they're pictures of them younger. You have to be so careful.
Is that for Australia? Because I've seen videos of peddlers being caught, and they've had decoys underage to meet up with them, so they do actually meet up.
I think it's done differently. I mean, in the UK, we couldn't possibly do that.
No,
yeah, I think it might be different laws.
No, Australia is the same. Australia has the same exact entrapment laws that the UK has, the same ones that the United States has. It can seriously hinder a case. But listen, I don't want to... In the United States, we have a thing called NAMDA. I don't even want to say this out loud. I mean, you guys have to look it up. And everybody in law school, when you study civil law, you have to study these people. Now, they are a group of people in rural Pennsylvania, parts of California, and I believe Oregon. And they are a group that they believe that this is all okay. Now, they don't act on it.
Oh, this is non-offending, the non-offending community, isn't it?
Right. They don't act on it. But they have meetings, and they talk about it, and they get to... It's just really disgusting. I don't even want to go into it, but if you look it up... And everybody in law school, when they have to, nobody wants to study this. And we have an organization here in the United States called the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. And that, when you first join that group, which is a noble group, you have to defend these people. And when you're at the bottom, when you're first starting, that's where they throw you. They throw you in the trenches. And because they're not actually doing any acts, you cannot prosecute them. It's maddening. And this, I believe that there are these kinds of, like, I don't want PLM or whatever it's called, like there are places like this all over the westernized world where they are able to group up, talk about things, but unless you can prove that they've actually done it. Like Angie said with the story with the dog, which I was there for, which was ridiculous. Everybody knew that would believe that. I mean, it wasn't until, Angie realized that there are certain people that do things like that, but obviously Angie just was not. She was clearly kidding. I mean, it was ridiculous, but... this girl does not sound like she's kidding, but my last question is, and then you guys please go off. How, like Jeremy said he has a recording, Bennett says he has this, how has this girl not been, has she been prosecuted for this already?
No.
If no, how is she getting away with it?
Well, hey, my question is, has anyone actually, shown the police the videos?
Apparently, there were three young ladies, well, not young ladies, young women in Tony's stream on the day that this all came out. And they've apparently approached their local police, because apparently your policing system's slightly different there. You've got local police, and then you've got another tier up. And apparently they've approached the local police, and they do not want to know. They are not interested.
That's correct. Yeah.
Well, everything, for everything you do, for everything, everything needs proof. You can never believe something or anything until if something seems so ridiculous, you're not going to believe it unless you see it with your own eyes, right?
The police actually said to me you need physical proof, and that's seeing it. A video or audio, but not someone saying it.
Because that's first hand too, not second hand.
To say something like that is not proof to them, because social media, people say things. It's an act, like she said. She's making it out.
Angie, that is the exact point right there. Because what happens, like I said, Bennett, is that if say Angie had been prosecuted for that, okay, let's just say that, okay, they would have to drag in every person on social media that watched that saw that, all this, the entrapment stuff,
it's just too much.
That's 2 years of work right there. So that's 2 years in most countries. In the U.S., we love to sue everybody, so everything takes forever. But that would be 2 years just to figure that out. Now this girl's she's skirting around this now for 2 years now. Okay. Meanwhile, this person who has been victimized has 2 years to either pull themselves together or, like this unfortunate young person did, unalive themselves, which is usually what happens. Okay, they become a mess because the legal system is failing them, even though it's not. It's just moving so slow because vigilante justice, and as someone who believes in the law most of the time, vigilante justice, while it's totally understandable, and like everybody, when you see these people going out like what you do, Sarah, and what you guys are doing up there, you know, we applaud you, but we don't want you to get in trouble.
No, it's got to be watertight with no
Sometimes, you know, like, yeah, and this is my mindset for everything, you know. Let me ask you something, Catherine, because you said you've been in the law, or you still are, you've retired, or whatever it is.
I'm still in there. Yeah.
What's the main purpose?
I'm not a criminal justice.
What's the main purpose of the government?
Do you want the real answer, or do you want what they want you to
Well,
think?
what I've always grown up being told in school is the government are supposed to be there to protect you, to run a country, to be fair, you know. But when something like you said, if they try to do where they try to capture someone, what's the word again? In something or in cage, or what were we just talking about when we try to put a decoy?
entrapment.
Entrapment. When someone tries to entrap someone, then you said it's 2 years. You see what I mean? Like, that's the government being lazy. They don't want to do it. So at that point, what's the point of having the government? You've just got to take stuff in your own hands. You know?
It's really not them being lazy. Listen, I wish everybody would clerk at a law office for like just 2 weeks. First of all, like I said with Angie, I'm just using her as an example because that was ridiculous. Like this girl, I believe this is happening with this girl. I do not believe what happened with Angie. I'm sorry, Angie, I keep laughing, but like what she said, if someone had actually pressed charges for that, you know, for animal, whatever, because it was, say they tried to entrap Angie and get her to admit it because she said it was an act. Once it goes what we call here in front of a grand jury, or if they want to move forward with prosecuting Angie, they would have to get every single, as opposed to if the victim comes forward and says, this happened to me, go get this person. That makes it a lot easier, okay? That's a lot easier for the lawyers, a lot easier. If it's an entrapment case, we have to pull in every single person. You got to explain the voice decoy. You got to explain where you got it, how you got it, what store you bought it from, when's the receipt. It's a law brief, just for 20 minutes of talking to a lawyer can be 500 pages.
Yeah.
So I mean, and so it moves very slowly. And another thing I want to say: in every country, westernized country, mostly NATO countries, in 2 years, this case is now being seen by probably in the United States, probably 4 judges. Now the judge rules the courtroom, so you have 4 different judges. You can get a dodgy judge. They're out there. You know, there are judges that in my country that side with NAMDA all the time. They side with them and think that they're great. Not that they're great, but that they have the right to do what they're doing. So it all depends on the judge. I don't want to say it's not worth it, but it's so complicated.
But I just butt in a minute because I'm the jump in and jump out.
You've been come back because you got a warning.
Killer Chaos, who is heavily involved in this, actually has a detective that is finally listening to them and is going to take in all the evidence, and like it could really be going somewhere. That brings me on to say that is why everything has to be done properly. You cannot give Ashlea a reason to cry victim. Now, if you entrap her, and that then gives her a reason to claim she's a victim.
And she will.
You're in Australia, so you won't know this person, but it's the same thing that happened here with Alfie. Somebody used their own daughter to try and entrap, Alpha, and then that made her a victim then, that made her a victim. It has to be like, Killer Chaos has finally got someone to listen to her, so everything has to be done completely right. Like, Ashlea cannot claim she's a victim. You cannot give her a reason.
Not give her any more power than she's already got.
That's it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I've got you, girl.
I'm thinking out. That's all I want to say.
Ninja Loda wrote in the comment section, like, I'm going to spy on you now, so behave yourself. But Ninja, this is the thing. With people who actually are doing these types of things, they don't care.
No, she genuinely is so blasé about it. She genuinely, there's no emotion there whatsoever.
But remember,
That even though it's sick what she said, she can just say it's an act. Like I said before, many people have committed a crime, a murder they haven't committed. You know, without the, even if they've committed, they confessed to it, do they get arrested? Yes. Do they get prosecuted? No. Not without that solid evidence, even though they've confessed to a murder. People have, God knows why people do it, I don't know, but they have done. Same thing with this lady. It's all talk at the moment. Unless you've got a solid evidence, like from a victim or anything like that, that this has happened, nothing will happen.
It's called, what we're talking about is called broken-hearted guilt. So that's the, layman's term for it. It's when something happens to somebody, they're a loved one, and they are so traumatized by it, like you said, the woman fell off the bridge or whatever, that they actually feel so bad that they couldn't save the person that they want to take the sword. So they'll say, I did it, because they feel so guilt-ridden.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually speak to Killer Chaos. I don't know if they're in the chat. They've done a lot of investigating on Ashley. I think they were quite frustrated tonight after their live because they just thought it's never going to go anywhere. Like you said, they've done so much work on.
They've been working for 4 years on this.
Yeah, and it's just gotten nowhere, and it's just come to the point where they
You
actually
need solid
like,
evidence.
wow.
That's what you need. You know what I mean?
Sorry.
You need solid evidence.
You do, and one of the victims is no longer with us, unfortunately, so that's another issue where we can't even get that victim to speak out, and they're...
And unfortunately, we can't even prove it was because of, her either.
Now, Sarah, can I ask you something? I read this somewhere. I don't know. I read so much stuff. I read that with cases like this, it also public opinion. Like it's rare that it's women that do this. So
yes, you'll be surprised though. I mean, particularly over here with the hunting community, there are quite a few women that are caught, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's
not as low as you think, Catherine.
No.
I feel like that's why people
But I mean, in public opinion,
because she is a woman.
It's a lot harder to believe.
Of course, because of maternal instincts and everything else, you'd expect that to kick in.
Yeah, so she's got that on her side too.
No, Timothy, remember the dog thing? You know what I joked about the dog? I remember I was at the police station, we got kicked out of the hotel and from trolls. So, I don't know, we ended up in the police station and I remember Steve, a friend of mine, was saying about the dog, how did it all start? And Steve was like, because of about what I said about the dog. And I remember the police saying, do you actually want me to report this? I thought, for fuck's sake, he really wants to laugh about this. You know what I mean? Do you actually really want me to report this?
I'm not laughing at animal abuse, guys. But I remember that story. It's just so...
Yeah, and I've got a lot of people saying that I was sick and vile for what I was joking about, but I honestly thought it was so ridiculous. No one's going to believe it. Come on, you know what I mean? But everyone did. It was, but that's different. That's not about children. Do you know what I mean? There's dark humor, dark humor.
With vigilante justice, which I actually like the word vigilante, but you also, Sarah, I don't know, back me up on this maybe. You also get a sense of somebody. I mean, that's the reason they do it. Is that you also, you would get a sense that someone is abusing an animal. You kind of know. That's why you go in for the kill,
Yeah, but I've got dry sense of humour, Keza. Do you know what I mean? When you see I joke, that I don't laugh. I've got a very dry sense of humour. So I've got a blank expression. So that's why I always say to people, don't go by people's behaviour or how they look or how they act. Because you'll never know. Everyone's different.
Very true. There is no generic-looking peddler. I know of ones that have been paediatric audiologists, ones that have been high up in the law system, local policemen. There is no definition. There is no stereotype.
No, exactly. You can't go by what they look or how they dress.
Not at all.
Well, listen, as somebody who, I'm 47 and I'm part of the LGBT community, twice in my life, people have said that to me, shouted that word, the P word to me. And I'm like,
wow.
Are you kidding me? That is the worst thing. And I've never forgot it. They were strangers, but I never forgot it. I know that.
I always remember the case about, it was probably before your time, guys, but the dingo, it was probably a little bit before my time.
My baby.
The little dingo, the baby that got snatched from the tin. Now, that lady, she went to prison. But she was in camera, she would laugh. People would think, oh my God, she's guilty for laughing. She would cry, fake tears. She would, look angry. Oh God, she couldn't act. However her facial expressions looked, she was criticised for. So she decided just to go with a blank expression. Every time she was on camera, she was just a blank expression. That's how she had to act. Because she was crucified for however she looked, how she dressed. Why has she got makeup on? Her baby's died. Why hasn't she got makeup on? She looks terrible. She's guilty because she looks that certain way. She was crucified for however she looked or dressed.
Oh, listen, a top-notch. The dingo ate my baby case. Because of that case,
Dingo ate my baby.
a criminal attorney, if you are a wealthy person, or even if you're not, if you have a good criminal attorney, if they will now, because of that case, they will send you into Harrods with their credit card, go to a stylist, they'll get your hair done, you'll get Botox, they'll do everything to make you look fabulous for court because of that woman. And there's a great movie called Cry in the Dark with Meryl Streep, and she plays that woman. She was nominated for an Academy Award for it. Guys, if you want to see a great movie about the law,
Yeah, she went to prison. She went to prison. She was innocent, and I'll tell you what, because they didn't test
Do you
that.
remember Kelly Lane, the woman who was accused of killing her children? Australian woman.
No, I can't remember that one.
She had like 4 children, and they all died, and
That's not in the vehicle.
she
She
was
shot
accused
them,
of killing
right?
them.
Is that when she shot them? Is that not the? Is not the one when she shot them?
No, they died of like not unknown, like it was, they thought it was SIDS or clot death or something, but it was actually
yes, I remember
she
this.
Oh, that's not the one. With, yeah, was it all of the? No, explain the story because I'm thinking. I'm wondering.
So she was a blonde woman, and she was her family was quite famous. She was a swimmer. Her name was Kelly Lane. I was actually in prison with her because I'm a transgender guy, so I was in a women's prison.
Yeah.
And I was in jail with her, and she said that she claims she's innocent, but people just stereotyped her because children were involved, and 4 of her children died, and they could never, she could never prove how it was kind of like a mysterious death. Not a violent death, but they just died. Kind of like, what's it called?
Was it cot death?
She claimed.
Oh my God! Is it the same story? Whether she had 4 children, right? They all died of cot death, so they thought it was genetics, right, or something like that. And then she adopted a child.
No, that's another woman.
That's another woman.
That's another woman. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, she was. She got released. Catherine Folberg. I was in jail with her too.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, child, and that child also died in cot death, and that's when they investigated. She had that. What's that illness, guys? When you
Yes.
Munchausen by proxy.
That's the one.
SIDS, yeah. So she actually got released from prison recently. Catherine Folberg, her name is. And she was released from prison after 20-something years, and she got found innocent because they did some DNA test. I don't know, maybe it was advanced since the time, but yeah, she got released, and they found her innocent after all that time.